I was 14 years old when I died. Not almost died. Not clinically dead, I died. Most people remember the happiest day of their lives. Their wedding, the birth of their children, graduation. Me? I remember the sound of an old oak tree breaking beneath my feet. It was August of 1996. My friends and I spent every summer climbing the giant oak. Behind my grandparents' farmhouse. Everyone in town knew that tree. It's rotten, my grandpa warned me more than once. One day it'll take somebody with it. I laughed every time. The older folks always had stories about that tree. They claimed people had disappeared near it decades earlier. Hunters refused to camp beneath it. Dogs refused to walk beneath its branches. To us, it was just the tallest tree around. That afternoon, my best friend dared me to climb higher than anyone ever had. You won't. I will. You're gonna kill yourself. I'll be fine. Those were the last words I ever spoke. I climbed until the branches bent beneath my weight. The wind picked up. Leaves rustled around me. Then, crack! The branch snapped beneath my feet. For one impossible second, I wasn't falling. I was floating. I stared at the clouds. Watched birds explode from the treetops. Then the ground rushed toward me. Everything went black. When I opened my eyes, I expected a hospital. Instead, I was standing in an endless gray world. No sky, no sun, no trees, no buildings, nothing. Just emptiness stretching forever. The silence was absolute. I started walking because standing still felt wrong. Hours passed, or maybe days. Nothing changed. The horizon never moved. Then I realized something impossible. I wasn't getting tired. I wasn't hungry. I wasn't thirsty. Nothing hurt. There was no pain. The only thing I could feel was fear. Looking back, I don't know if I was in hell. Maybe it was purgatory. Maybe it was something beyond human understanding. A place where hope slowly disappeared because nothing ever changed. I walked for what felt like years. Maybe decades. Time no longer existed. Then, I heard footsteps behind me. Crunch, crunch, crunch. I turned. A man stood about 100 yards away. He wore my grandfather's flannel shirt, his suspenders, his old work boots. For one beautiful second, I thought I'd been saved. For one beautiful second, I thought I'd been saved. "Grandpa!" I shouted. He didn't answer. He simply took one slow step toward me. Something wasn't right. My grandfather always smiled when he saw me. This man never waved, never spoke. Then I realized why. His face was gone, not burned, not missing. Everything from his forehead to his chin was swallowed by a darkness so black my eyes couldn't make sense of it. It wasn't empty. It felt alive. Like something inside that darkness was staring back at me, watching me, waiting. I called Grandpa. Each step was slow. Patient, certain, something deep inside me screamed to run. So I did. I ran as fast as I could. The footsteps never sped up. Every time I looked over my shoulder, he remained the same distance behind me. Never closer, never farther. Always walking, always silent. I don't know how long I ran. There was no sun to rise, no night to fall. No way to count the days, only endless gray stretching forever. Sometimes I'd stop, not because I was tired. I couldn't get tired. I simply wanted to see what would happen. He kept walking, slowly, patiently. The closer he came, the more overwhelming the fear became. It wasn't ordinary fear. It felt like every instinct God ever gave a human being was screaming at me to get away. So I'd run again, sometimes. I'd hear him call my name, where Nathan, It was my grandfather's voice. Gentle, kind, the same voice that used to tell me stories on his front porch. For a moment, I'd almost believe it was really him. Then I'd look at that impossible darkness where his face should have been. Whatever stood behind me, it wasn't my grandfather. One time I almost walked toward him. I missed him that much. I took 3 slow steps. The darkness shifted, not like a shadow, like something alive, something pretending to be human. In that moment, I knew, if that thing ever touched me, I'd never leave that place. I turned and ran harder than I ever had before. Years passed, or what felt like years. The only sound in that endless emptiness was the slow rhythm of those footsteps behind me. And no matter how far I ran, they never disappeared. One time, I almost stopped running, not because I was tired. I couldn't get tired. I simply couldn't bear another moment of wondering what that thing wanted. I turned to face it. It kept walking. Slow. Patient. The closer it came, the heavier the fear became. It wasn't panic. It was certainty. Every instinct inside me screamed that if it reached me, I would never leave that place. Then, something grabbed my shoulder. Not the figure. Something warm. Real. The gray world shattered. The silence vanished. I opened my eyes, gasping for air in a hospital bed. Doctors rushed into the room. My mother collapsed beside me, crying so hard she couldn't speak. My father wrapped his arms around me so tightly I could barely breathe. A doctor smiled. "You gave us quite a scare." "What happened?" I whispered. "You were gone for 7 minutes." 7 minutes. That's all. To everyone else, only 7 minutes had passed. To me, I'd spent years trapped in that endless gray emptiness. The doctors called it a miracle. They said I was lucky. They asked if I remembered anything. I lied, because no one would have believed me. 30 years have passed since that day. I'm 44 now. I've built a life. Got married. Raised kids. Buried people I loved. But no matter where I go, I still see him. Sometimes he's standing at the end of an empty hallway, sometimes across a crowded parking lot, sometimes in the reflection of a store window, always wearing my grandfather's old flannel shirt, always standing perfectly still, his face still swallowed by that impossible living darkness. The moment I turn to look directly at him, he's gone. People tell me it's trauma, survivor's guilt, hallucinations. Maybe they're right. But lately, he's been getting closer. Last week, I woke up just after midnight. The house was silent. Then I heard slow footsteps outside my bedroom door. The exact same footsteps I heard in that endless place 30 years ago. Then I heard a voice. Soft, gentle. Nathan, my grandfather's voice. I didn't answer. Because after 30 years, I finally understand. Whatever followed me through that place never stopped chasing me. It simply waited, patiently, knowing that one day, I'd die again, and the next time, there won't be anyone left to bring me back.